Okay friends, welcome to part 4 of our video presentation on business intelligence. So once data is loaded into a central data warehouse and then independent data marts are created for specific BI technologies or BI applications, then those BI technologies or applications, they will be used by specific users to make decisions that hopefully improve organizational performance. And there are many types of users out there. The typical BI users include IT developers, frontline workers, people or employees who are facing the customers, analysts, data analysts that need data for analyzing a particular organizational issue, a lot of informational workers such as engineers, managers and executives. Also, sometimes BI can be used by suppliers, customers, and regulators, meaning external stakeholders. Now, nowadays there are new terms or new categories for BI users that seem to be quite popular. The one is called data scientist. Now, a data scientist is somebody who is hired specifically for the BI task, whose main job responsibility involves analyzing data, generating reports, communicating those reports, and helping others make decisions based on that data. And then there's a new job role called Chief Data Officer or CDO. Now, this is somebody who is actually responsible for overseeing all data-related activities within the organization, including BI activities as well. Now, one thing to note about those different BI users is that some of them are information producers, meaning they are responsible for producing data or information, the one that is being fed into the data warehouse or data mart. And then some users are information consumers, meaning their main interest is getting data out, extracting data from a dependent data mart, analyzing it, and making decisions based on that. Also, there is a new trend called pervasive business intelligence. The idea here is to extend BI usage to all users, both internal and external, not really users but stakeholders. So the idea behind pervasive BI is that everybody involved within an organization needs to rely on data when making decisions, and this is something that is supposed to improve organizational performance. That universal usage of business intelligence across departments, across different levels of an organization. There are all kinds of business intelligence tools out there. We'll just mention some of them. One tool involves using SQL queries to extract information and summarize information in a meaningful way. There are also all kinds of reports, both like static reports and also online interactive reports that allow you to generate, reports in real time and also do some kind of scenario analysis or experimentation with those reports. There are also drillable OLAP reports, which is a specific way of summarizing and aggregating and categorizing information. I'll show you an example of an OLAP cube in a second. Excel, is used as a BI tool very often. A lot of BI applications nowadays, they actually use Excel as the primary input and output device or tool. And I think the main reason for this is that Excel has become so pervasive, because of Excel being a part of a widely used suite called Microsoft Office, as you know. So it became so pervasive and so widely used that it's not that Excel has some kind of superior features, in relation to, at least in relation to some specific areas of business intelligence. It's just that people are used to Excel. They're used to using Excel in a variety of scenarios and also in a variety of contexts. There are all kinds of specific decision support systems built for specific companies or specific industries or specific scenarios. Also, there are the so-called executive information systems or dashboard or scorecards, and I'll give you an example of that in a second. Then there are all kinds of tools for data visualization, for visual summary, visual analysis of data, something that is supposed to improve the speed at which the data is analyzed and understood and used in decision making. And there are all kinds of tools for data mining and predictive analytics, discovering patterns in data and then making some predictions based on those patterns. So, the tools are very varied, and there are literally, hundreds if not thousands of them, so we cannot talk about all of them, but just like a couple of examples. Now, what you see here, you see the so-called OLAP cube, and OLAP stands, if I'm not mistaken, for I forgot the exact area, but it's like online analytical processing. So OL I think stands for online analytical processing. So here you have an example of an OLAP cube. So here an organization pulls data related to their sales. Now this sale is categorized along the following dimensions. First of all, the kind of store responsible for a particular sale: outdoor shop, sports store, department store, golf shop, warehouse store. Then the kind of product being sold: camping equipment, personal accessories, outdoor protection, golf equipment. And then by year, okay? So if you take like one particular cube, so for example, this particular cube, right here, I'm pointing to it, represents sales by department stores of camping equipment for the year 2006, okay? So basically, that's why this is called drillable OLAP report, because you can drill into specific area to understand it better. And then sometimes you can take this little cube and you can break it down into sub-dimensions as well, whatever the dimensions are available for that cube. So this approach helps you to kind of summarize data and also rapidly drill, rapidly magnify or rapidly analyze the details of one particular area to get a better insight. And then so you can zoom in and zoom out, based on those cubes. So that's an example of an OLAP report. Now what you see here is an example of the so-called executive information system, also called dashboard or scorecard. So apparently it's built for somebody in human resource management, and here you have like real-time indicators of vendor billing, claims, budgeted claims compared to actual claims. Then you have worker compensation claims by department, by region. So it's like a high-level cockpit or high-level executive dashboard or scorecard for understanding what's happening in the human resource department, apparently in relation to worker compensation claims and leaves of absences and vendor payment and so forth. Okay, so the reason it's called executive information system because it's an aggregated summary, a high-level view of what's happening in an organization. Now, a few words about metadata, which is typically a very important component of a business intelligence architecture. Now, depending on user types, the needs for data descriptions can be quite different. For example, IT personnel, IT professionals, they may want to have technical descriptions of data being stored in a data warehouse or dependent data mart. So for example, they may want to know what data is stored in the data mart or warehouse, mapping of the data from source to target, how the data is being extracted and how it's used from the source. Data refresh schedules, when the data needs to be updated, specific data models, how the data is linked, is like a relational model or no relational model, tables and attributes names, data transformation logic and business rules for transforming data or for calculating a specific attribute, history of metadata changes, who revised data, who updated data when, so basically all changes are being tracked. And then performance metrics for managing growth. How fast the database is, how fast the data mart is, how long does it take to respond to specific queries, and so forth. So basically, IT personnel is interested in technical information about data being stored. Now, normal users, organizational users, so business users, they're interested in business-related descriptions of the data being stored. For example, detailed business descriptions of each table, each variable, each database. Subject areas, dimensions, and specific measures are used to measure a particular attribute. The source system for the data, where the data is coming from, the timeliness and quality of the data, how current this data is, let's say about sales, and to what extent this data is reliable. Estimated response time for specific queries, for example, how long it will take for the system or for the department to retrieve or answer my specific question about customers. And then lines of authority, who has access to specific data and reports. So if I need to have access to those specific data or reports, who do I seek, whose permission do I seek, and what is the procedure for obtaining this permission. So this is like a very kind of pragmatic managerial perspective on data, and that's the kind of perspective that normal business users typically take. So all those things need to be discussed in metadata repositories. Now, a few words about on business intelligence and data qualities. Whenever an organization engages in BI, that exposes a lot of data problems related to missing data, dummy values, multi-purpose fields, meaning fields used for more than one value, and then reuse primary keys where there's confusion, where the values of the keys are not unique, or they're used by several databases, which creates a lot of confusion. Now, some of those problems can be addressed by data cleansing software. For example, software can go through the warehouse and use some kind of algorithm, let's say a regression model, to replace missing values. But of course, a better long-term solution is to eliminate data quality problems at the source. So this means there needs to be some specific policies for entering data, for maintaining data, updating data, doing data quality audit, so that bad data is not entered into a warehouse or data mart in the first place. But of course, when you do that, you can run out into political problems. You need to determine who owns data. Does marketing department own this data? And if they own this data, you may have heard the saying that information or knowledge is power. So if they own this data, they may be very defensive and protective of the data. They may not want others to step into their turf, because they may feel that will diminish their own legitimacy within the organization, because whoever uses their data may discover certain problems within the department. So that's why high-level executive sponsorship and support is very important, because there needs to be somebody powerful who would say that, well, this person has authority to retrieve this data, or doesn't have authority to retrieve that data. Otherwise, that can lead, absence of that high-level sponsorship, executive sponsorship, can lead to all kinds of political fights and battles within the organization. So basically, proper people and processes need to be put into place to deal with data quality. Now, that reminds me of something that we experienced in my organization. A few years ago, I'm talking about my former employer. A few years ago, we started assurance of learning. Now, assurance of learning means measuring the success of students in achieving certain learning goals. So basically, every faculty needs to measure those goals, and then the faculty members, they would report their data to the college. Now, what we discovered very quickly is that the data that faculty brings up to the table is often bad. I mean, it often has missing values, some miscalculations. So that's why we hired a specific person, responsible specifically for data quality assurance. Now, unfortunately, this person was like a low-level employee within the organization, and this person ran into some trouble with some of the faculty members, because they would treat assurance of learning as one of their least important priorities. And whenever this lady would kind of interfere and say, look, you have some missing data, you need to update it, you need to correct something, they would say, well, who are you to tell me how to assess or how to report? I'm a professor here, and you're telling me to redo my report 3 times. So that person, eventually that person kind of transferred that task of disciplining faculty members and telling them what to do to their immediate supervisor. So basically, she would rather be involved. She's involved with data quality audits. She creates like a report, what data is missing. But then it's the top managers of the college, the deans, the dean and associate deans, who actually kind of pursue those individual faculty members and tell them what to update and what to correct, because high-level executive sponsorship was very important for that. Now, BI governance means like creating an overall governance frameworks. Typically, it involves creating a business intelligence committee responsible for such things as approving new projects, prioritizing BI projects, establishing schedule for those projects, resolving issues, creating appropriate data definitions, resolving data problems, introducing policies, procedures, manuals, and so forth. Now, it's good when business intelligence governance is comprised from a multi-level cross-functional team, where representatives from different organizational levels, top managers, mid-managers, operational workers, and also from different functional units like marketing department, IT, when they all come together to address issues, at the operational level, something related to metadata or data quality issues, at the tactical level to make sure that specific BI projects and applications are delivered within time and budget, and also at the strategic level to make sure that the overall BI infrastructure, the overall BI initiative supports overall organizational strategy, let's say cost leadership. Now, one comment about business intelligence benefits. I mean, I already repeated this several times, that at the end of the day, business intelligence should enable employees across different functional units and across different levels of management to make better decisions, and those decisions they need to lead to some performance improvements within an organization. Now, performance improvements at the low level, operation level, let's say cost savings from data mart consolidation, time savings for suppliers when they need any kind of data, or time savings for users. Let's say, with the new BI platform, it takes a salesperson, let's say, on average, 30% less time to address a particular question from a customer. Now, those level operational things they can be easily measured. So whoever is responsible for BI can demonstrate tangible value from BI by calculating those operational savings. However, whatever value is delivered at the high level, at the strategic level, for example, if you're saying that business intelligence somehow helps a company accomplish its mission, its strategic goals, then those kind of strategic impacts of business intelligence, they can hardly be measured. So sometimes, here in this area, there's a leap of faith. The global impact of business intelligence is never fully understood. And that's something that business intelligence managers need to be comfortable with. Unfortunately, executives, they always like to see numbers. They want to see numbers and how a particular investment impacts them at a very high strategic level. Now, business intelligence is a rapidly evolving field. In fact, I would say that this is one of the hottest trends, one of the hottest topics in business nowadays. There are a lot of jobs being created in business intelligence, data science, or business analytics. There are different terms being used for that. So there are all kinds of trends, and I'll just mention some of them. There's a trend of scalability, of making sure that business intelligence infrastructure is scalable to accommodate the so-called big data, meaning vast volumes of data that are being generated nowadays, online, by ERP system and so forth. And that scalability is typically achieved by using off-the-shelf commodity-type infrastructure and just adding some kind of software add-on such as Hadoop on the top of it. Then there's a trend of pervasive BI. We already touched on that. Pervasive BI means that the entire organization becomes data or BI driven. So whoever makes a decision, whoever initiates a new project, they need to have data to support their project or their idea. Then there is a growing trend of operational BI, and many specific ideas or technologies can be included under that umbrella. I'll move forward a little bit. So one of those operational real-time trends is using data streams. Let's say data streams generated by Twitter. So that stream is harvested and then analyzed and contextualized to enable somebody to make decisions in real time or to understand something in real time. And then, this idea of BI-based organizations that seem to have a large overlap with pervasive BI, where everybody is involved with business intelligence, that leads to the entire organization being business intelligence-based. In other words, they're saying we're making intelligence decisions. Now, one interesting observation about operational BI. Now, on the one hand, in some domains, it can be argued that whenever event happens, there is a lag between an event and action taken based on that event. And this lag happens because when something happens, then data has to be stored, and then data has to be retrieved and summarized in some kind of report. And then only after that, after seeing that report, a manager, let's say, will make a decision based on that. So there is a time lapse or time distance between business event and action taking. Now, some people may argue that this lag represents value lost. Now, if you think about it, indeed, in some domains and some applications, the lag between an event and an action taking can be quite costly, in fact, deadly. If we're talking about, emergency applications or something related to, let's say, airline management, because, let's say if two airplanes are approaching each other, they're getting too close, sometimes they can collide in a matter of minutes or even seconds. So that's why, actions need to be rapidly taken. But in other domains, some people would argue that, real-time information is actually harmful because it creates too much noise. Whenever we have new information, we feel that we're obliged to act upon it. And that's one of the reasons as to why Warren Buffett decided to move away from New York and settle in Omaha. Because Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors of all time, he was basically saying that in New York there's too much noise, there's too much information about local events, global events, monetary policy, economic policy, political situation, and all this kind of pushes people to do something about it. And he said sometimes it's better not to do anything, it's better to ignore all this information, because having your brain cluttered with all those business events can actually prevent you from fully understanding the fundamentals, such as that companies who have a product that have a share of people's mind, a product that is very successful, they will generate good returns, good return in the long run, right? So that's why Warren Buffett moved to Omaha, to be a way to intentionally create that lag between business event and his actions. Because if an event is important, you don't need to read news about it. Eventually, this idea or this event will reach you without any kind of exposure to real-time streaming of data. So that's something to think about. Is lag actually good or bad? Does lag represent value lost or value preserved for your specific domain, your specific industry, or your specific application? Now, I'd like to show you some examples of BI applications. So here you see some kind of executive dashboard or executive information system for a company called 1-800 Contacts. This company sells contact lenses online. So here we have sales data for specific people, specific sales agents. So they develop a metric called closing ratio. Basically, it involves several measures, but it measures how good, how fast, how productive a particular sales agent at closing sales. This line represents averages, monthly averages, and here we have hourly performance. So it looks like this specific sales agent is beating averages, every hour, but the performance is declining from morning to midday. Then we have average sales per hour. Again, this represents monthly average for the previous month. And then calls per hour. So the calls per hour is a bit below the average, which again doesn't mean much unless you look at other indicators, because it could be that this particular agent is concentrating on quality of calls and not quantity of calls, and that's something that leads to high closing ratio. And here you have some textual information representing opinions of customers, like positive and negative feedback, in relation to this specific agent, this specific sales agent. So once again, this is just an example of an executive scorecard or information system or dashboard. Now here you see a decision support system used by Continental Airlines. It's used for understanding flight arrival and departure, so they can take better care of people who are late, whose flights are late, and who may be late for their connecting flight. So they can quickly visualize which airplane is arriving at which gate, is it delayed or not, and if it's delayed, they may want to send some personnel, right, to bring people from this specific gate and rapidly take them across customs, across passport control, let's say, so that they reach their departure gate on time. By the way, I've experienced, sometimes like when my flight is delayed, and especially in the United States, like in Chicago or New York. And I think some of the airlines, including Continental Airlines, they do a tremendous job dispatching those late arrivals into their connecting flight, so that nobody is delayed and the company doesn't lose reputation, doesn't lose money based on that. Now, at the end, I would like to say that if you want to get more into BI, and maybe you should, because this seems to be a very hot topic and a very hot profession nowadays. And BI is something for which you don't necessarily have to change your present occupation, your present profession, because you can be involved in analytics and BI in your own respective field. Let's say in medical field, in the field of network maintenance or IT maintenance. So you don't have to become like you don't have to master like a new profession here. You just need to learn more about BI tools, analytical models, data cleaning, the kind of software used for data cleaning, and so forth. So if you want to learn more about BI, there are professional organizations that you may consider joining. There are also specialized websites that publish news related to business intelligence, big data, decision support systems. And there are also some specialized journals that publish articles or research, and that list is not comprehensive. There are many journals out there that talk about business intelligence and big data and business analytics. Okay, friends, so this concludes part 4 of my video presentation on business intelligence. There will be a quiz based on our discussion on decision support systems and business intelligence, and it will cover, this presentation, this video presentation, also the presentation related to DSS, and all those presentations, they are largely based on that business intelligence tutorial by Hugh Watson that I uploaded a bit earlier to Canvas. So thanks for listening. I wish you best of luck on your quiz.